Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Blue Abroad show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It is Monday, the 12th of August, 2024. I've got Joe Adamo with me tonight. We don't usually get Joe lately because Joe's usually got the show. But Joe, mate, welcome.
Yeah. I wish it were better circumstances, but yeah, we'll get honest tonight.
No problem. Of course. I think it's it's the process, I guess. Win or lose. Thank goodness that wasn't the last game of the season, and we're not sitting with that for the rest of the year. Although I'm really careful in saying that because you just don't know what's coming. But but yeah, man, it hurts and it stings, and there's care factor, and there's a lot of feeling and emotion, and we're only 24 hours removed from the game, and we're gonna just unpack it and say what we need to say and move on to this week and hope that there's some sort of a response. Like, what's going on, man?
I apologize in advance. I've been positive all year, but I do apologize because, yeah, that I think that proper broke me yesterday.
I just got a serving on the rating show from Pommy because he said he never wants to hear. I kind of apologize too. I kind of feel bad for believing. Like I'm left to feel bad for believing, and I understand where you're coming from. And he said, don't ever apologize for believing in something. And encouraging.
No, I'm not apologizing for that. I'm not apologizing for how high I got this year or how low. Well, I am apologizing for how low I might get tonight because it's not. I don't know. This one hit differently, very different, and it hit.
Yeah.
It was like a delayed hit for me today. I didn't feel it yesterday. Today, it's just gotten worse as the day's gone on, and it's like,
imagine fans apologizing and not the club. Imagine living in that reality.
Man, it's just I don't know. It just feels surreal. It still feels surreal. This is what we're gonna do tonight. Like this is again.
So yeah. Let's do it like this. Okay, those of you watching at home, firstly, thanks to Cannoleria for sponsoring the show. Those of you watching at home, how has the last 24 hours been? What have you done to cope with what happened yesterday? Sorry for waking up your dog, Dione. But yeah, how did you deal with yesterday's result and the fallout from that? It's been 2 weeks in a row. There's been different types of heartbreak, Joe. How is this one different to last week? Because I feel like it's a bit of a rocking of the foundations in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the Collingwood one, I don't know. The Collingwood one was a weird one because I didn't actually feel we had a right to even have the opportunity to steal that one. And I felt that if we did, we probably got away with one. And I foolishly, because I'm a fool, foolishly bought into the narrative around, the photos getting around McGovern, putting their arms around him, the narrative around sticking together, the narrative around, that was more us, even though we didn't get the result. The process was the process, and that'll get you there in the long term. And I, like a fool, bought into that because that's just what I've been this year. I've been positive. Even after a loss like that to Collingwood, I was not as low, anywhere near as low as what I feel today, coming out of yesterday. Yesterday was laughable.
Like
sitting there. Well, no. Well, yeah. Sitting there, I felt like I was genuinely going mad watching this, going, no. Like I've died at some point in the last 4 to 6 weeks. I have died and I've gone to hell. And this is just hell for the rest of my life. That's how it felt. Because everything that was unfolding just didn't make sense. It just didn't. Anything that could have gone wrong went wrong in the worst way possible. And it was like watching a movie. And it was like it just can't be real, which is why I walked away from the game. And it never actually hit me until I woke up this morning and it just, I spoke to you, spoke to Dan, spoke to Paul Barbaza, spoke to Michael Maloney, Paul Sebastiani. I had 5, 6 calls in the morning. And the more I spoke to people, the worse the reality became.
Mm.
And it's really, really bad. Like, I think this is as low as it's ever been. The Essendon game last year, I thought it couldn't get any lower than that. I think this has trumped it. I honestly think it has. I really do.
Yeah, we had to. I found myself going into reserves. It was like an autopilot. It was, I kind of saved myself from myself in some ways. So I'm pretty optimistic most of the time. But second quarter, I was 1,000,000% certain that we were losing by a lot, like 10 goals plus. And it was almost like my subconscious just took over and knew how to protect my body and just sort of tell me and warn me what was coming,
Yeah, it was
rather
familiar.
than like last week where I believed up until the final siren. I'm messaging you at halftime, three-quarter time, Joe, we're still winning this game.
Yeah.
um, and that was, yeah, that was weird because like, we're talking about, the mental application, the environment in which the players are allowed to operate. Like, this is 2021 rhetoric. Like, I mean, like there was a line in the sand drawn with this sort of stuff, I thought.
No. My sister has jumped on board massively in the last couple of years. She hasn't missed a game this year. She's always watched, but never
Mm.
really like committed to going to games every week. Hasn't really been a member, and she decided, all right, I'll jump on. It's fun, it's good. And I said to her after the Geelong game, it all comes back to that Geelong game. I said to her, just remember how good this feels, because one day, I just hope you're there with me when we're getting belted by 80 points again every week. And we know we're going to get belted by 80 and we're playing like dog shit and we're just not the side that you're watching now. And in my mind, I thought I was prepping her for 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the track when maybe we have a little bit of a lull. I'm not saying it's over, but yesterday I looked her in the eye. I said, "You've just got a glimpse of what it could become very quickly,
Mm.
because we've been here." And I said to her, "I'm back in a very familiar environment today." That's how I felt. The familiarity just, like kind of like what you said. I was overcome with it. I've been there before. I've watched people walking out. I watched the stadium empty, sitting there in the last quarter, and it's like, okay, we've seen this, you know?
Yeah. It was, I think, like, obviously the second half is compounded because of injury, like, obviously. Um, but the way in which they came out to that game, and most if not all the time, we're taking an educated guess in what's going on, because all we've really got is what we see on game day and any content that comes out from the club on social media as a window into what's happening with the preparation and whatever they're doing in the lead up to a game. And there was just no doubt in my mind that that 8-day break was so mismanaged, and that the diligence that was required to be mentally and physically ready for that contest was not executed on. Like the prep, they were just not ready for it. They were not prepared. They had this exhausted look in their eyes walking out in photos, and maybe that just looked that way because we were down at quarter time when I saw the photos. Maybe that's what it was, and I just had a confirmation bias, but just off. And I mean, we've seen them when they're connected because it's so clear, and so therefore it's so clear when they're disconnected. So it's just like, what's going on? The last 6 weeks, I've found myself, I think because of the situation we're in 11-4, and call me crazy, call me one-eyed, but I mean, fuck, how is that not real? How could you not believe that something good was happening? I just thought they had earned the benefit of the doubt. And so 1 week at a time in the last 6, 7 weeks, you're like, all right, they're chipping away at these credits, but they're going to turn it around because they've earned the credits in the bank and they've earned the trust. And they're just, it's like they have to completely throw it away before the world realizes that they've done it. I just can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, 11-4. I'll speak for myself, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. And at that point, I was so confident it couldn't go wrong. Like you asked me on a fan cam after the Geelong game, do you trust the group? Yep. Didn't even hesitate. Like for the first time ever, there was complete trust. And yep, did I get ahead of myself? Sure. But if you're a supporter of any other football club in this league, yeah, you wouldn't be let down in that situation. I can maybe, all right, maybe Essendon, but I can say hand on heart, I've seen teams in the position we were in for years, and they just don't bottle it. They don't. And we've done it twice in 2 years, in 3 years. But remember, we were 9-3, 10-4, 2022. It was different because we'd never been there. So they had an out. Okay, they didn't know how to deal with the expectation and the pressure. So it was different. We almost got there. It was nice. We knew we were on the right trajectory. It's disgrace. Like it's a disgrace.
It was a disgrace. It was disgraceful.
The way that this season has panned out is a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's a complete indictment on this football club, and it's a complete spit in the face to every fan that gave themselves up to the club again. That's the biggest disappointment in all of this is how many times can we just continue to do this and just and put all this energy and money and time and whatever it is that we all do week in, week out for this club to be spat in the face. That's what it feels like. It's a spit in the face. They're not honest with us. They broke our trust, and it's just, I don't know. I just feel completely defeated. Completely.
Broken trust is a good one. Yeah, I feel betrayed. I feel lied to. I feel hoodwinked.
I don't know, man. I can't. I don't know. I've tried to find positives today, and there's just not this time. There's just not. And you just call a spade a spade. I get it. I saw the end of the player ratings with Pom, and I get it. Like, I understand. Like, get around each other. We're here for each other. Sure. I gifted some memberships. That's what we do in this community, and this community is one thing. But like the fact that we feel so separate in this community from the football club, that says enough. Like, we have to come together for therapy, like following this club. It's a beautiful thing. It is, but at the same time, mate, what the fuck is that? What is that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll ask you a genuine question here, Tez. So, following any club in any sport, right? You should have across the time that you follow that club and support that club, there should at least be a 50-50 of where you're proud of the club and where you genuinely hate the club for what they do to you. Can you even say that in the 30 years that you've been supporting this club, that it's close to 50-50?
No.
This is torture, Tez. It's
Yeah.
torture at this point.
It is torturous at times. And I mean, you kind of got to make your own. You've got to create your own space of enjoyment within it. Because I think if you're relying on the club to win the premiership, which in a really warped way, I kind of am. I kind of relying on the fact that they will do it with this group. But then
But
I've
it's not.
learned
It's. Is it even about that? Like, it's for me. It's
no,
not even about. It's not even
no,
about
it
that
can't
now.
be. No, it
It's
can't
not.
be because I think if you focus too much, and I know that the process outcome conversation is really difficult, but to swallow. But if you do focus your happiness and attention only on the premiership, and you only be happy if they win a premiership, I think you're missing the point of it all. It is
Yeah,
about the
agree.
process and the journey too, and you know,
But on that journey, so I'm an Arsenal supporter too, right? I've never been prouder of that football club this year. We didn't win anything. We didn't win
mm,
a thing. But I've never been prouder to say I follow the Arsenal Football Club
right.
because the progression was there. You saw that things were being put in place by the club across a number of years where we just naturally progressed to a point where we're now going to be contenders. And I trust the Arsenal Football Club to do that next year. I do. I know they will. That's a high performance environment. Once you're
Mm,
there, you're not letting that go. We were there, man. Voss's
yeah,
presser. Well, if I can go there.
yeah, go for it.
We're going to find out a bit about ourselves. There's an opportunity in front of us. No, there's not. And we just found out about you. How about coming out? How about coming out and just calling a spade a spade? We fucked up the opportunity today. It was there. That was the one. And now we've got an uphill battle in the next 2 weeks, regardless of who we play, because we've come with 6 injuries out of that game. Where's the honesty? The opportunity's not there. It's gone. You bottled it. I don't care what happens.
We were living through we are living through the opportunity. Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I'm just so over trying to find meaning in it when the meaning was there. It was right there for all of us this year.
You just sparked my memory about a video and a quote that I've seen. You talked about winning and 50%, love, hate. So here's what you should know about winning before you chase it. Winning's not loyal to you. It doesn't care about you. Winning doesn't care how sore you are. When it doesn't care how much sleep you get, doesn't care how hard you work. At times, it's sometimes a guy who doesn't outwork you and he still wins it. Sometimes there's no justice. Winning requires all of you and then more, and it promises you nothing. It's a mastermind of creating fear and doubt in your mind. It causes setback after setback. So the question is about winning. Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? And why chase this thing called winning? Because of the only thing that's guaranteed in life, if you don't chase it, is losing. That was from the Georgia Tech strength coach. And that is the dichotomy we find ourselves in. Like, disappointment, feeling, hurt, emotion, betrayal, get around each other, pick each other up, get to Wednesday, rinse and repeat. If we win, there's hope. If we lose and we lose badly, it's just why are we doing this to ourselves? Yeah, and honestly, it's just a story. Like it's hard. I actually don't think we would have eternal happiness if we want a flag. Like in my mind, and I'm sure you're the same. You just want to experience the first one. Like you just want to live through it.
But it's for me. It's not like I let go of that this year. I did.
Okay.
I thought we'd be there and we'd give ourselves a shot, but I let go of the idea that that is what is going to bring ultimate happiness with this football club. It's not, because then what happens after that? We'll go into the same cycle. We want another one, and we want more, and we want more, and that's just how it's going to be. So it's about letting go of that, which is what which is what you've said here. But it's just about knowing that what we're putting in as fans and as supporters isn't being taken for granted.
Mm.
That's where I'm at on reflection of all of this, because I feel like we're getting just taken for a ride again. 100,000 members this year, first time in the club's history. There's more of us than there have ever been, and it's more of the same shit. Now, we could have bundled out in straight sets, but if we finish top 4 like we got ourselves into a position to do, would we be upset? Sure, but at least the process worked, and it got us to a point that we knew we needed to tick off. We're not even close. We're not even close.
Mm.
And then to hear just the same shit regurgitated in a press conference by Cripper in the rooms after the game. We talk about earning the right. We're in a position where we can have a say on things. There's a lot of footy left to be played. No, there's not. It's done.
There's 8
You
quarters.
haven't earned the right. The opportunity is gone. You bundled it. We bottled it. That's it. See you later. I don't care if you play finals from here, because you're not going to make an impact. We all know you're not going to make an impact. As optimistic as you want to be, that's not where we're at. The reality is, it's not where we're at this year. You've got to stare that disappointment in the face, man. You have to. You just have to.
So in essence, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I don't believe it's over. I don't believe it's fully over until the final siren sounds. But you would be like, it's obviously highly unlikely that they're going to be making an impact. But I think I asked this last night. What does making an impact mean? How far do you need to go in a season to be able to say we made impact? Is it a semi? Is it a prelim? Is it win a final? Like, what does impact mean?
From here, for us, I don't know. I don't know, because making an impact for me halfway through the year would have been, you win a qualifying final, you're into a prelim.
Okay.
And you've done what you set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever happens from there happens. Whatever. But
Because it's a prelim and like it's just
that's it. Like that at that point, you've given yourself an opportunity and you've earned the right. At that point, we've been to an elimination final. We've done the semi-final. We've had to battle our way back. Like, what lessons are we learning here?
Yeah.
There's no impact from here, Tez. You can't say there is.
That's the other thing too. Like, shout out Christian. He actually DM'd me minutes before we went live, and he reminded me about something. Do you remember during the good patch this year when we were playing great footy, and they were sending through and posting the highlights of the behind the goals footage of the work rate, all the tackles. When's the last time you saw one of those videos posted?
How can they post one when it's not happening? We laid 19 tackles in half of footy and then 21 or 22 in the next half. And we kicked 3 goals across 2 quarters. Sorry, 2 goals across 3 quarters.
How crazy is that?
What highlights are there? What highlights?
That, and that's the thing. Like, how did you get arrogant? I don't think this is just a play thing. This is a club thing. This is a club thing. All of us, all of them, we all just started raising our hand before we crossed the finish line, started looking around like, hey, how good are we? And then bang. Like, how are we learning that lesson? Like, we've come from nowhere. Last year was the first time that we did anything of note.
It's funny. It's funny you mention it, because I remember walking out yesterday and we're walking back to Richmond and we're in with a group of Hawthorn supporters. And I looked at them. They weren't ahead of themselves. Like, it was calm. Like, it was a really calm environment. And I know I know that when we've been in that position where we've belted a team, like against Geelong this year, the scenes outside the MCG are just, it's like we've won a flag. Like, it happens every time. But for the Hawks supporters yesterday, as wrapped as they would have been, especially jumping into the 8, as I was walking out, they weren't ahead of themselves. It was just, let's on to next week.
Yeah, you know why? Because losers focus on winners
Yeah.
and winners focus on winning. We just want to get at our friends and we just want to get at our other people and sort of flex that we're good. It's maybe it's because we've been deprived for so long.
Yeah, well, it is. That's
you know?
exactly it. That is exactly it. Hawthorn were there, call it 7 years ago, where they were just there every year. Like, they know.
Mm.
They know what it feels like. We don't. So
Yeah.
can you blame us for getting ahead of ourselves when we think this is it? Because we haven't seen it. Like, we don't know. And then is it our fault that we get ahead of ourselves when we're in the moment and we're being told to enjoy it and we're being told,
Or
like, "Oh,
get
it's all
behind us.
worth it. It's all worth it. Get behind us." Like, this is like, is that our fault? No, no. And don't tell me to stay united and stay connected and it's a stronger together mentality in your post game in the room. We've done it for 20 years for you. You don't have to tell us. Like, we're there.
That was really interesting too. Last week it was the big theme for me from that post game speech in the rooms, that little snippet, was to tell the world that the boys were together. And then 8 days later, they never looked more disconnected than they have really under Voss. That's probably the most disconnected they looked.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. Like I said,
Yesterday,
any other club would not do this to their supporters in the position that we're in.
well, I mean, the Bombers have.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, hey, if that's our benchmark, this is the thing. If that's our benchmark, man, like, what are we dealing with? You know, like Geelong's a great example this year. They went through a
Yeah,
slump. They did, but they're probably going to make top 4.
yeah.
They wouldn't do it to their fans. And the irony in all of this, there's so much irony wherever you look with all of this, is the guy that built the sustained success culture at Geelong is at the head of our football club. The guy that's heralded as one of the greatest footy administrators in the game is at the head of our football club and can't get it together after 3 years.
Well,
So
look,
it's not a Brian Cook issue, I can tell you, because he's done it. It's you can tell you want about Andrew Russell. We've all had our opinions on it over the years, but he was heralded as one of the best S&C, if not the best, at his time at Hawthorn. And he walks into our club and all of a sudden things turn to shit. Is it a poisoned chalice? I don't know. Anything that walks through our door seems to get poisoned in the long run.
yeah, look, the underlying competing interests at the Carlton Football Club, the ones that we don't even know about, the ones whose names we don't even know, that's it. Look, there's a gravity and there's a weight behind the club on the inside, in the fabric of it. I mean, look, I'll give you an example. With all due respect to the players I'm about to mention, but you wear the monogram. As soon as you stop wearing the monogram, like, your aura's gone immediately in the AFL industry. Think of Zach Fisher, Paddy Dow, Petrovsky Seaton. Like, it's just it's got a gravity to it. It's got a weight to it. It's got substance to it. And it works both ways, because you either can handle that or you can't. And the longer and longer we go into the future, the more layers of burden get added to the whole thing, and
Yeah.
it's difficult. I mean, Wiedering's born in '97. He's sitting with Reece Jones last week, and he's like looking over at him, and it's like, what's he supposed to feel? He doesn't. There's no resonation. It's hard. It's really difficult, but it's a big weight. The club is a massive weight. There's a lot of intricate complexity within it. You've got corporate interests, which you can complain about. We can complain about corporate interests all we like, but the fucking money makes the world go round. So
Every club's got it. Yeah, every club's got it.
It's just so complex, and I guess it's supposed to be the most excruciating journey. But where it's difficult to relate to some of the generation in our fan base is that they didn't have to go through this as youngsters. So
it's going to be 30 years next year. Like, we actually reached it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, well, we won't get to 40. Surely we won't get to 40.
Oh my God.
Like, we might. Tez, this is the reality. Like, we have to stare the reality of it in the face. We don't know.
It's true.
We said we wouldn't get to 30. I've been doing this for 5 years. You've been doing it for a lot longer, like a little bit longer than that. But 5 years ago, if someone had told me you'd go 30 years without a flag, I would have said no. We'll win one before we hit the 30-year mark, and we're not.
Do you reckon next year we'll get bobbleheads as well?
That's what the Carlton Football Club is becoming. It's a tribute to the past. That's it. That's all it is. It's just a tribute to the past. And I get it. I'm all for honoring our legends, all for honoring the past and all that sort of stuff. I get it. But we got to make our own history at some point. And we haven't had history for 30 years now. Literally 30 years.
Yeah, and I've had this conversation in the live chat earlier as well. It's not to disrespect the past and all of that. People are taking that a little bit personally, but there's a void, because just as much as you and I don't know what it was like to live then and experience that, in the exact same way, that generation don't know what it's like to live like this, get to this age and not have anything to be proud of apart from a finals run last year. So we're both living in this parallel universe where other doesn't and will never truly know what it's like to be living in the other shoes. And we, from our point of view, maybe from the generation prior, like that point of view, it's like, oh, you're shitting on the past. You might come across that way. But on this point of view, it's like, well, you're shitting on us, because you're just basically we're continually getting thrown this stuff about this time in life that I get it. We were good. I get it. I understand. I've heard all the stories. I know the ball might have been out and he touched it and he, I know it's demoralizing. Like, I know it's like you're rubbing it in like, oh, your life shit. You didn't know what this is like.
Yeah, that's now how it feels. That is how it feels. Because then, so in call it 10 years, right? Let's just go there, right? I might have a kid, you might have a kid or two, whatever. And we're at the 175-year anniversary mark for the club in 15 years, right? And we go into the MCG and there's another fucking Guernsey, right? They're not wheeling out Sam Walsh. They're not wheeling out Charlie Kerner. Well, maybe Charlie, because he's got the individual accolade, maybe Cripper, but they're not wheeling out Nick Newman as a premiership hero. That could be the reality. But we lived through it, and we looked at these guys, and they were our heroes in this time. And we've got to turn to our kids and go, man, you should have seen that 2023 run. Come on, man.
No, that's not what it's about.
Like, there is someone's just said it here. Whoever No Way is in the chat. There's a generational divide. There is, and there could be a generation of two very, very quickly with the way that we're going at this point. You look at some of the age profiles of some of these guys that we're relying on to take us there, Tez, and it's scary next year. It is scary. Yeah, exactly. Oh, let's roll out all the number 1 draft picks we had from 08 to fucking 2015. Let's do that. Hey, some of the age profiles of these players, I'm telling you, it's going to go in the blink of an eye. Patrick Cripps is 30 years old next year. He's 30. Man, are we really another career that we had to admire and go, oh, well, he didn't get there either? I hope not. I really hope not. Exactly right, Paul. Exactly right. But what's the reality right now? It's not going to happen this year.
Well, I'll ask you an even deeper question. What is Carlton?
Oh, don't go there.
No, I'm dead serious. What are we? What is Carlton? Not what was Carlton.
You tell me.
What
You
is
tell me.
Carlton?
You tell me.
What is Carlton? Carlton to me is a state of belonging to something. That's what Carlton to me is right now.
To you, yeah, I could say the same. Yeah, because we're not gonna give up. Well, I'm literally going. I'm literally going to Perth next week. Right? I'm the idiot here that's going to Perth, but that's what we do. We'll keep doing it. As much as we want to vent and rant and say whatever we want, and it's disappointing, and they've broken our trust and this and that, we'll do it all again next week, and we'll do it again the week after. And when St Kilda belt us by 60 and we miss out on the finals, we'll do it again next year. We'll be there opening round, all of us, and we'll and the preseason will start, and we'll get hyped. We'll see all the footage, and it's going to be the same because that's what the club means to us. But I'll ask you a question on the other end. What do we, as a fan base, mean to this club anymore?
Now, that's a great question. Now, that is a great question because at times, more often than not, it feels transactional in nature.
Okay.
At times, it feels like treat the players as humans, but we'll continue to not treat you all like humans. And I think we sort of teeter in and out at times. It's not a full blown conclusion, but rather than just saying, I know that there'd be disappointment out there. You know how powerful it would be. And maybe I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong, but I reckon it would be pretty powerful to hear him, like to hear rhetoric around just acknowledging what it's like to be a regular person. And maybe that's difficult because they're not living regular lives, but those who sacrifice their hard earned and, and we're really sorry and we're embarrassed for what we put on for the fans.
That's what I want to hear. That is what I want to hear. Yeah,
really
especially after Sunday.
Our language is it's a little bit too careful.
And I don't know why we're being careful anymore. I really don't. I don't know why we're being careful, you and I, or whoever does this as a hobby or as a job or whatever it is. Like, I don't know why we're careful anymore. I don't know why the club tiptoes around the bleeding obvious that we have bottled it. I don't know why we're a club that doesn't stare it down and just call a spade a spade. Sam Mitchell, when they were 0-5, I remember his press conference earlier this year, he tore him a new arsehole in his press conference. Said it as it was, not good enough. Not good enough. And you could see in his body language how pissed off he was. He didn't try and protect the players. He said, that is clearly not good enough. That's what I want. I want a ruthless club that will call a spade, and I want a playing group that knows what they're playing for week in, week out.
Voss was ready. He was ready to do it after Geelong. It just keeps playing over in my head. It was so profound. It was so obvious. He was ready to start elevating the language.
Yep.
and holding them to a higher standard. I go, maybe he just had a bad day and he was just pissed off and couldn't control his emotions in that moment. But it's just stuck with me. And I don't know this for fact.
You're talking about the first Geelong game.
First Geelong game when we lost, and
Yep.
he's like, "That was unacceptable." And I'm like, "Oh, are we ready? Are we ready for this now?"
Clearly not.
Yeah. And look, there are a number of factors around that because you invite pressure when you talk like that. We are a passionate fan base. It goes both ways. When we're winning, it's amazing. Sales are through the roof, memberships, all this stuff through the roof, memorabilia. But when we're losing, it's still passion. It just goes the other way.
Yep.
And the reality is you can't have one without the other.
Yep.
And so you kind of got to manage it. I do understand that to a degree, but it does feel like the balance is out of whack. Like it's disproportionately vanilla.
It's like literally watch Voss's presser followed up with Cripps's post game in the rooms, and it is almost word for word. It's a script.
Do you think that is really them?
No, but you can see it's not. You can literally see in Cripps's eyes in that clip how much he's hurting. Like you can see how much that has pissed him off. But he's not saying what he's feeling. Like it's just regurgitating shit. You know? Like just tell me we bottled it today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we wasted an opportunity today.
That's it. It was there, not just today. Tell me this has been a build-up of 6 weeks. Tell me. And that clearly we're not connected. Don't tell me you're connected because you're not. Don't tell me you're united because you're not.
The one time they told us.
Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, the one time they told us that they were connected, the very next game, they were they were never less connected.
I don't know.
So who's the one? Who is in charge of pulling that string and pulling it back?
I don't know.
Is that a group?
I don't know.
You know, is it interests not beknownst to us? Is it sponsors that like who is like?
I don't know. Because we've gone through that how many times in the last 10 years? It's the coach, it's the players, it's the board. Like who I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where the rhetoric comes from. I don't know why they're so scared to just be vulnerable with us. Like, and not fake vulnerable or fake humble or fake whatever, like proper vulnerable. You know, like fuck, man. There's in European football, there's a clip of I believe it was AC Milan and their ultras, and they lost. They lost to Inter. I think it was after they lost the game to Inter, which is their closest rival. And the team stood there in front of their ultras and they copped a fucking spanking verbally from them after the game. And they just copped it. They copped it. I wish I had the clip. That's a winning culture. That's tell us why you're unhappy and we'll go away and deal with that and we'll come back better. Now, I'm not saying that our club needs to stand in front of our cheer squad after a loss like that and cop abuse. That's not what I'm saying. But the rhetoric after the fact is just fake. It's not real.
Yeah, it's inauthentic.
Correct. That's the best word I could have come up with there. There's zero authenticity. And I don't know how you can manufacture that. I just don't now. Because if it was that easy to do, we would have done it 6 weeks ago as an entire club.
Yeah, that's the other part too, because it's again, could be wrong. My whole reality of what I think is working and not working in a football club's been rocked over the last 2 weeks. But I mean, they knew what they needed to do to get out of what they got out of last year. So you would think that when the signs came up in the last 6 to 7 weeks, that they would know exactly what was happening and be able to rectify it. And I think we said it last week. If they're not, I still somehow believe they are being brutally honest up until probably yesterday. But I remember saying, like, if they're not being brutally honest with themselves, someone will do it, and it will either be someone at the club that goes rogue, or it'll just be us. And you'll get the feedback. You'll get the feedback that you need either way.
Would you not be concerned if they were doing it?
If they were
Because
what?
if they have been doing that for the last 6 weeks, and this is what we're getting literally progressively worse every single week since GWS, if they have been doing that, is that not concerning? If they
Honestly,
have been being honest and brutal behind closed doors, and this is the output that we're getting from that, is that not even more of a concern?
yes. I haven't been truly concerned until I saw yesterday. Honestly. Like truly worried and concerned and betrayed and frustrated and angry. And I just believed what they were doing was enough to earn the trust that they had matured. The form line, the way they were beating teams, the way they were being challenged, the way that they were persevering through injury earlier in the year, all the elements, the way we were playing, we were connected, we were beating teams convincingly and had improvement to come. I just went for it, Joe. I went for it and believed with
Me and you both.
everything, mate. Like,
Yep.
all in. Willing to be hurt as much as I am now, but I'm like, I don't play it safe. I either fully believe or I don't.
Yeah.
And so with that comes ultimate adulation, or, the ultimate, sadness and frustration. And now I'm forced to take perspective in life, and there's a bigger world out there, and that's how I've got to just compartmentalize it. And that's what we're left doing.
Yeah. Now it's just footy.
It's
That's
just footy now. Yeah, it's just footy now. Go crazy when we're winning. Go over the top. Spend as much money as you can when we're winning. But when we're losing and it's fucking shit, it's just football.
Was it just footy? Was it just footy at the semi last year? No, that was life. That was living life like we'd never lived. That was emotion, and again, still thinking about it now. And it was only a semi, but that was emotion that none of us had ever felt in this generation. That was life, man. But now it's just footy.
Yeah.
And we just got to get over it and move on, because it's only a game. And that's what, as fans of this football club in particular, that's what we are left with. That's what I feel like we've been left with for 30 years. We've just got to go away and pick up the pieces, because it's just a game if we don't get it right. But when we do, fuck, get around us, man. We're the best. Yeah,
it's all right.
And collars and yeah. You're a dickhead. I'm a dickhead. We're all dickheads. Just boring.
You know what, man? It's such a nice Guernsey, man. It's actually tainted. One of the best things they've brought out.
Oh. Tainted forever.
Yes, it is tainted forever. It's gonna like the old AFL Guernsey, like the flag and the mate. It was so nice.
Yep.
And I just look at it now, and it's gonna remind me of yesterday. Fuck off.
Tainted forever. Just another one that's tainted. The only one that's not tainted is the blue out Guernsey, and I wish I bought that.
True.
When we beat Essendon that day.
True.
Fantastic Guernsey, but everything else, milestone games, retro Guernseys, whatever.
Yeah.
Tainted.
Bossy boy, have we ever seen Voss smash something with small mistakes? Does he get that mongrelness, or it's just the same response for each loss? And this is the big unknown. It is. It's the great unknown. I'm going to try and copy this, Paul. I can't.
Yeah, this is the one. I knew Paul would have it.
Hang on. Let's have a look. YouTube. Just talking. Oh yeah. Do you mean this? No,
I think it is.
no. There's another version of it.
Yeah, there's a version that's not like fan recorded.
Yes. Type in Milan Ultras.
Yeah.
Can't believe we're comparing ultras to Australian sport. But all right, if this is the rabbit hole we want to go down,
Why not? What else are we talking? What else are we?
What else are we gonna do, mate? Yeah, what else are we gonna do?
Oh my god! It's unbelievable. It
Okay.
really is.
All right, maybe we can look at this later because we're on a nice little we're on a nice little roll here. Okay. Okay, so
What's next?
now what?
Like, all right, let's say we beat the Eagles. Then are we? Oh man, I don't even want to think about it.
You know what you'll all do, so stop pretending.
But then you know what's going to happen against the Saints. You know, Tez. You know, Tez.
You know what? What do you know?
What's going to happen if we beat the Eagles and we have to win against the Saints. You just know. It's not going to happen, man. We're going to get sucked in again.
Are you willing to get hurt again?
Man, it's just like, it's the cycle. But we'll be there.
This is why we're customers, mate.
Yeah.
It's a fucking great business model, mate.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh.
It is the best.
Oh,
it's purely
mate.
based on emotion. It is all based. And if you can nail something in business with emotion, you've got that person for life, man, regardless. And I do say if we beat the Eagles, yeah, because if you thought Sunday was bad, it could get so much worse next week. It really could.
Look, the makeup of this group, the leadership at the club. I know that it's looking shit right now, and yesterday was atrocious. I'm really well aware. But I mean, this is just their next hurdle. Like it just is.
So what is okay? We'll get this back on track. What does the team look like realistically next week? Let's just, because we've got 6 injuries that likely aren't going to get up.
Fucking Harry as well in the last 10 seconds. It just bro, it had
that
to be.
Today, that sent me today proper. I literally was laughing at, like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way. It can't get any worse.
Mm-hmm.
When you think it can't, it does.
Mm-hmm.
6 injuries. Boyd.
Well, yeah. So Boyd, Sard, Charlie,
Harry,
Martin, Fogarty, you would say definitely won't play at this stage. Yeah. Mate, you know what?
What does the forward line look like?
Well,
what does that forward line even look like?
Will be unpredictable. It's going to have to be full heart. It's going to have to be just heart. And it's gonna, like, literally, they're just going to have to empty the tank and just go for it.
I agree. Hey, look, this is, if Harry and Charlie don't get up, Harry Lemmy likely gets his debut, which I think fantastic. This is potentially a key forward for the future, or a third tall or whatever. And fantastic. It's good. It's always good to see these kids get a crack at it, and especially when there's so much on the line. Like, it's just going to tell a lot about certain characters in their first game. So, all right, you might see a Lemmy, might see a Moya, Gov up forward again. We haven't seen that for years, but it could be Gov, could be Kemp. We literally don't know what we're going to get on Sunday.
There's no way to prepare against us.
No, true. Yep.
Like there's zero way to prepare against us.
Yeah.
So it's Do you think, there's a bit of chat around, we haven't debuted anyone this year, and obviously earlier in the year that looked great because they were just going through their paces and developing the kids and making sure we don't rush them in and the like. Do you think we just thought we were so close and this was the group that was going to do it? We didn't need to debut anyone, and this was them? Put maybe too
I
much
think,
trust in?
yeah, no, I actually think for the first time we did the right thing by these kids.
Mm,
If you're not ready, you're not ready. Whereas in the past, we've played kids where you're probably thinking, do we have to?
mm.
And then you see the development of like a Dow or a Fisher or whoever that probably debuted way too early and too much expectation was put on these kids. So I actually think from that perspective, we probably did do the right thing. But now we're in a position where we're going to have to call on these kids to do a serious job.
A serious,
This
yeah.
is huge. This is you can't get bigger than this. This is an elimination final in your first game. And it's exciting. It is exciting because it's like we don't know what we're going to get. I don't think they know what they're going to get on Sunday. Maybe that releases the shackles a little bit just to go, whatever. This is where this club thrives, Tez. We spoke about this last week. When there's no expectation, which there's not now, you can't say there is. When there's no expectation, this is where the club thrives.
Do you still think there's no expectation?
None. It's gone, Tez. Come on, man.
Really?
We're done. I don't care what happens from this point for the rest of the year. I really don't. I really don't. You can't say it's been a success when we were in a position that we were in. It's not. You failed. And it's fine to say that we failed. Unless somehow we go on some sort of fucking run, which I cannot see. And how's this? This has been the first time I give up, and it's the first time they'll fuck me on that end too. You watch. They'll make it prelim. You watch. But unless they find something and go on some ridiculous run, it's a failure of a season. And you can say that. It's fine. We're allowed to say that.
We are allowed to say that. I'll just wait until 2 weeks is over, and then
Fine.
I wanna get all
Fine.
the information, and I wanna
Hey,
see.
I hope I'm wrong in this case. I really do. I really, really do. Trust me. I'd be
I
more than happy to be wrong.
I just want yeah, look, I just want them to be just find it. How did like, it's just a how did you lose it? And you know the whole Russell thing, right? I have no issue with it being the decision. Like, thank goodness we get closure. And then I've now understood exactly why it came out at this point in time. It's silly season in the AFL as it's called. August 1 comes and you tell your coaches whether or not or your assistants,
Yep.
you tell them whether or not they're sticking around for next year. I now
That's how it
understand
works.
that.
Yep.
The concern is the way it was leaked. And generally speaking, with this club, when there are leaks, there are issues.
Yeah, it's true. It's a fair call.
Generally speaking, maybe this is a one-off and this leak is a good leak. But generally speaking, in my experience, when there are leaks, it's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
So the fact that the club had to, shuffle around and then put out the statement, that's the part where I'm like, okay.
And yeah, I'm not gonna say I don't believe he's retired. It just wouldn't surprise me to see him at another club in 2 years. But that's for another day. Anyway, Sunday. This Sunday is the great unknown for me. It really is.
It is the great unknown.
We could see Wiedering at full forward. Who knows? Could be. We genuinely could.
What are we doing here, man? Like, what are we talking about? Like, how did the conversation? Only us could go from that high to that low.
Oh man.
How is this the conversation?
I don't know. I don't know.
How is it even a consideration at this point?
You have to laugh. You have to laugh. You really do. Because, man, like, I don't know. Anyway, I hope we see a Cooper Lord. I hope we see a Harry Lemmy. Jackson Binns has earned his spot this year with some of the form he's shown. Jack Carroll will come in. We'll see. We'll see a few kids that might give it a crack. We will. But
because I'm free.
Yeah.
Free falling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen Heath Buck's review for this week?
I have not yet. No.
Oh, don't do anything else before you go to sleep tonight.
Tore him one.
Huh?
Did he tear him one?
I will just let you watch it.
Okay.
You must.
Okay.
It's the best thing I think I've ever seen him put out.
Okay.
And I remember the one time he was in the woods as well. That was fucking hilarious. God.
That's where this club drives us to. Genuine madness. We're doing
Oh my
content from the woods. What do you mean?
Yeah. Mate, we're just like an experiment for the world to watch. We are an entertainment experiment for the world to watch. Yeah, it's like documenting the decline of subsection of the world. That's kind of what it looks like it's becoming.
Literally drives us mad. It's just crazy. It's insane. A football club drives us to the brink every year. Like,
But it's all right though, because Sticks and Harry got on the radio together.
you got your collar.
Did you see the footage of Cripps like tugging on it as well before the game? Oh, it was like Dyson Heppel areas.
Dyson Heppel, exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope. Yeah. I just hope they give us something. I really do.
Look,
Just give us something.
I do this every week, and in the spirit of being consistent, I want to be consistent. But I've done this every week for the last 6 weeks with everyone that comes on the show. Okay, so Joe Adamo, let's just take a look at the situation here.
Don't make me do it.
No, you're doing it at home anyway on your own. I just want to know what you think will happen this week in the game of football and next week.
Okay.
Friday night, Essendon Swans.
Tough one. Let's just say Essendon for a laugh.
Okay. It'd be such an Essendon thing to do.
It would be.
Gold Coast Suns or Giants Freo.
Yeah, I like the Giants there.
Okay. Pies Lions.
You'll never see me tip the Pies. Well, I couldn't care less. They could play North Melbourne this week. I wouldn't tip them.
I was stunned to see them lose last week.
Yeah, I mean that's another one. That game played out exactly as ours did, but Sydney have got that culture where they know how to do it, man.
Yep.
Like, that's Port Adelaide.
Okay. Saints Geelong.
You'd say Geelong.
Dogs North.
Well, Doggies shouldn't drop that one.
Okay. Hawthorn Richmond.
Hawthorn. Oh
Okay.
no.
Carlton West Coast.
No. Don't make me do it. All right, so we win. We'll just say we win.
All right, so whatever. Like we'll just see what happens, and we go into next week.
Fucking hell.
Melbourne Collingwood.
All right, I'll give the Pies one. We'll give Melbourne are that bad. I can't see them winning that one.
Okay. Geelong West Coast GMHBA.
That's Geelong.
Richmond Gold Coast MCG.
That'll be Gold Coast.
Hawthorn North at Tassie.
Hawks airborne at the moment.
Brizzy Bombers Gabba.
Lions.
Sydney Adelaide SCG.
Swans.
Dogs GWS Mars.
This is a cracker of a game, by the way. This one, I'm actually really looking forward to watching it. I reckon the dogs get over the line.
Okay.
Leave our game till last.
Okay. I have a few words about the build up to that game. Dockers Port at Optus.
That's an interesting one. I'll say Freo just because of home ground.
Okay.
And that's where we're at.
The Melbourne supporter base, we're not going to be going to the footy this week, a lot of us. So we're going to have to wait. The built up tension for this final game, should we get up this week, it's palpable.
Mate,
So the
It's
reality is
crazy.
this: you lose, you're out. You win, you're in.
But now go the previous week, right?
Oh, okay.
Because
Joe,
this is the
plan.
reality. We lose. Could be the reality.
Yeah.
Go to the next round. Then let's just say we win. We're watching that game at 6:10, Freo Port, and just hoping Port get it done.
Goodness me.
This is where we're at. So either way, whether we win or lose this week, right? There's a chance.
Oh, there's a chance.
Either way, whether we win or lose this week, and God, you would hope we win on Sunday. My God. There's a chance, regardless, going into the last round, is how I see it. But they better hope they pull their fucking finger out on Sunday. Jesus.
Oh gosh, there's a really weird way to play Hawthorn in the first week, but otherwise it looks like it would be an interstate trip. So as long as there's a chance, I feel like, you just
Realistically, like a pass mark from here, just based on what we can probably achieve, is winning an elimination final. That's it. That's it.
yeah. On the road.
Yeah. So
Mm.
anyway, that's where we're at.
Well, that's where we're at. You know what? And that's the Blue Abroad show this Monday, the 12th of August. It's been tough. It has. I've learned how much. I've not learnt. I've been reminded how much we all care. Thanks to everyone that just called and reached out and just, did a welfare check. And I think that's the other beautiful part about what's happened with all of this. We just, at the end of the day, we do have a lot of like-minded people who care and care deeply. So
Yep. Agree. That's I said at the top of the show, this community, as separate as it feels from the club itself at times, it will always be here. And yeah, in times like this, it's what you need. But it doesn't take away the pain or the disappointment in this one for me. It's just so yeah.
what if we play Collingwood first week of finals?
No, don't, Tez. Don't do it.
Mate, we might have 2 weeks left and then it's off season and we're wishing that the footy was back. Like, that's how close we are. This might be we might have just, the Blue Abroad show will go all the way through to the end of the year, but we might have watched the second last, rating show for the year. Like, that's the reality of where we're at. When there might be only 2 more fan cams for the rest of the year.
Do you reckon there's anything in potentially? I thought about this today, just quickly before we finish off. It doesn't have to be a big discussion. But on the length of the season and the fact that we went so deep last year and the fact that this season started so early and that these boys, their bodies have not been conditioned to that, do you think there's anything in that whatsoever?
Potentially.
Like, are we just maybe overthinking it and going, they just need a fucking rest?
Potentially. But at the same time, I mean, this year was the first because we've never had an opening round with an early
But also
bye.
coming off a prelim. That's deep.
Coming up a prelim, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it's just yeah. I think the Lions are no different.
Yep. Anyway, we'll see how we
Joe,
go.
a pleasure. Thanks for joining.
Thank you
ladies
for
and
having me.
gents,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for tuning in. See you throughout the week. Go Blues.
Go Blues.